Welcome to another edition of Africa Teaching, a production of the Pepperbird magazine. I'm Karen McLaurin-Chesson, your host. Today we have the pleasure of interviewing State Representative Marcia Ranglin-Vassell. And we have the honor of spending a few minutes with her, and she has certainly served as a dedicated teacher for many years for the Providence public school system. And last year, she won the election for state representative for District 5. Ms. Ranglin-Vassell has been engaged in civic activities since she was 15 years old when she was in Jamaica, and here we are years later. She still serves in the advocacy role, and we're just so delighted to have you. So thank you so much for joining us and finding time, because I'm sure being a teacher and a state representative can certainly take up a lot of time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Karen, for inviting me, and I am just delighted that you find the time so that I can share with you what I've been doing since I've been elected, and also what my vision is, not just for Rhode Island, but also just for the world. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's certainly a pleasure to have you. And would you kindly share with our viewers a little bit about yourself, and then we'll start with our interview.
Yes, so I am Jamaican. I'm now Jamaican American. I was born in Jamaica in a wonderful town, Bull Bay. It's about 10-11 miles out of the capital city of Kingston. And the neighborhood that I grew up in was very poor. In fact, as I look back now, everyone in my neighborhood was poor. But one thing, we had good, strong family values, and mothers and fathers and grandparents, they wanted the best for their children. Education was a must. You just had to go to school. You had to be educated. And so post-secondary education was one of the goals for many, or most, I should say, most families in my neighborhood. My dad did not know how to read or write. He did not have an opportunity to go to school. He came to Kingston as a young boy from the country, and he became a man at maybe between the ages of 9 to 11 years old. My mom is an amazing woman. She had to leave school in the 6th grade because she had to help take care of her siblings. And but my family, my mom and my dad, they were very instrumental in making sure that their 9 children were educated. My dad, although he did not know how to read or write, he started a preschool in our front yard. It was a preschool by day, and it was a church by night, the New Testament Church of God. That he started that co-founded that in 1963, and I am so delighted to share with you that the church is still alive and the preschool is still alive.
Excellent.
So that's just wonderful. So my faith, education, those are just strong, and helping and caring for others has always been a strong family value in our family.
Wonderful. That's amazing. Yes. Amazing history.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Would you share with us how the transition has been from just solely being a teacher, which is a handful,
right?
Which is a 100% job,
yes,
to not just being a teacher but also being a state representative, and how I guess part one is, how are you dealing with that transition of that juggle
Right.
And then I'll ask you another
So,
question.
what I'm doing is what women do all over the world every day, which is really
Multitasking and doing all kinds of things and doing them pretty well. So I'm a mother as well, a wife. I'm also helping to take care of my mom. Who's 89. I have to make sure that when I leave here now from this interview, I go to see her and to make sure she's doing well. So what I am doing is not unique. It's what women have done for centuries and are continuing to do. But to answer your question, I still teach full-time in Providence Public Schools, and I love what I do. It's what I feel that I'm called to do. I remember at 6 years old saying I wanted to be a teacher.
Wow.
And I've never veered away from that, being a teacher. I went to Teachers College in Kingston, Jamaica. I became an elementary school teacher there. And so I still teach. I have, work that I have to do on the weekends. I get up at 4 or 5 in the morning to do work. And as a state rep, I also research all the bills that I introduce. I co-author them, only because I want to make sure that the vision that I have or the vision that my neighbors have for these bills are the ones that are written. And the parts of the bills that I'm not able to do, which are the legal parts. And one day I said to myself in my random thinking sometime, I said, maybe I should go back to law school.
Yes.
Yes. So I can do that. But for right now, I'm just focused on staying true to my mission, which is really to be a teacher and now a state legislator. And a lot of the bills and the policy that I will introduce over the next couple of years, they have direct impact on the lives of children and their families. So everything is connected.
Yes, yeah. What challenges have you incurred during this your first year as a state representative?
and also a teacher and a mom. I think one of the challenges that I experience, quite frankly, is not having enough hours in the day.
Yes.
Not having enough hours in the day. I wish we had like maybe another 10 more hours,
Yes.
in the day. So that is one of the challenges. But what I do, I try to organize what I have to do. I try to write down the things that I need to do and to check them off. It is hardest work. It's not easy work, because if you want to be a good teacher, an excellent teacher, you have to really, really work hard. And I had excellent teachers when I was growing up in Jamaica.
And I don't do anything if I'm going to be mediocre at it, because we have to set the standard. And I'm cognizant of the fact that as the only black woman in the Rhode Island General Assembly, I have to be a model for black girls and maybe women, or I've had the pleasure and the privilege, or not the privilege, but I've had many really good models, and I want to present myself as a model of good work, of determination, of excellence.
Yes.
So it's hard work. It is not easy. Anyone tells you that this kind of work is easy, I would say it's not easy. It's challenging.
I can imagine.
It's challenging, but when I moved here, I faced a lot of challenges 27 years ago, and one of the things I said, my motto became, I don't have any obstacles in my life. I turn all of them into stepping stones. So I keep climbing, and and beyond the sky is the limit, is what I want to believe. One of the things that, going back to challenges, is presenting bills or introducing bills that I think are great bills. They ask government to work for the people, and recognizing that the question comes up in many instances: how are we going to pay for it? And so I was not able to get many of the bills that I introduced passed, but I'll go back again and I'll reintroduce them over and over and over again. And I think over time, with me helping to build in capacity, both for people coming to testify and really galvanizing around these issues, I think we'll be able to be successful.
And that would take me into another question of how your constituents in District 5 have been supportive of your initiatives.
Yes, thank you for that question. I have to, I'm so grateful to my neighbors, I call them my neighbors, that have totally supported me. This past summer I knocked on doors, over the summer, and because I think it's important to listen and to talk to and to get feedback. And they've supported me. My neighbors have volunteered with me. My neighbors have, just this past week we had a meeting at the local library, and because we're looking at how we can address the issue of gun violence. And one of my neighbors has called and said, I want to bring donuts and coffee. Neighbors have donated their money to this fight for peace, justice, and equality. They've come to the State House, they've testified on the issues that matters to them. Because see, my neighbors are reasonable people. They understand what it is to have safe community. My neighbors understand what it is to take care of, for us to take care of each other.
Yes.
So the bills that I advocate and the bills that they have told me that I should introduce are the bills. So they've galvanized not just around me as a person, although that's a wonderful thought to have, but I think they've galvanized around the issues that mean so much to all of us.
Yes, very important.
Yes.
We've been trying to keep up with you and your activities through Facebook, and it would be wonderful if you could share with our audience what civic initiatives you've been engaged in. Although, as far as I'm concerned, being a teacher and being a state rep is more than enough, right?
Yes.
But I'm sure you're doing some other things.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I use social media a lot. So if you're watching, my Twitter handle is @M_Ranglin-Vassell. If you're on Facebook, please feel free to like State Representative Marcia Ranglin-Vassell, and I'm also on LinkedIn. Those are the platforms that a lot of people are using. But I also have to be cognizant of the fact that there are many people in my district who are not on Facebook or social media, and so it's important for me to get the word out through newsletters and all that kind of print media. And that's why it's so important for people to invest in this fight for justice, peace, and equality through volunteering, through going on to my website www.marcia4ri.com, FORRI.com, to contribute to a donation so we can get the word out there as well.
Okay.
But I use Facebook to let my neighbors and everyone know what I'm doing. For example, right now, the initiative that I'm working on, Karen, is I have named it a community response to joblessness and gun violence. I got into the race, and I'm a state rep now because I have lost so many of the students that I have taught in 17 years to gun violence. And last year, a young man got shot and killed. And when he got shot and killed, at that moment, I realized I could not just sit on the sideline anymore. It was important for me to step up. And so I'm asking people to step up. So I've organized this initiative, and we've gone through different neighborhoods in the city of Providence. And we didn't listen. We kind of a listening tour. And now this week, I should say, on the 14th of this month, November, we had our first planning meeting. Excellent. And that is, we're planning a job fair. Because I firmly believe, deep down in my heart, that gun violence or any type of violence is rooted in structural poverty and racism, right? And so what I am saying, and what my neighbors are saying, and what forward thinkers are saying, if we can invest in people,
yes,
not corporations now, in people, then we can pull people out of poverty, and we can break that cycle of dependency. We can break that cycle of poverty, Because no one gets up and say, oh, I want to be poor. Absolutely no one. And so government has to provide that safety net. Government has to provide the resources, and that's why I have asked for, and I will continue to say, we need to make sure we have robust investment in small businesses here in the state of Rhode Island.
Yes.
And that is one of the ways that I think we're going to address this issue of gun violence. It's not going to be addressed. I love to pray. I'm a born-again Christian. But I also understand that work without faith is dead, and faith without work is dead. And that's why I'm working as hard as I can with people that share the same values that I do,
Yes.
that we can address that. So that's one of the initiative. Another one is I've always thought of when there were times when I was a little girl and I didn't always have a toy, and I thought about it. And so one of the I did this year, I'll have my second toy raiser.
Okay.
Not fundraiser.
Toy raiser.
Toy raiser.
Yes.
And I'm going to be collecting educational toys for children in the neighborhood, or just children around Providence who may not have a toy at Christmas time.
Oh, that is special. Now,
Yes.
how long is that campaign running for? And if folks want to donate a toy, what does
So if
an educational toy.
an educational toy, I really want to emphasize education a lot. So if folks want to donate an educational toy, or they can come to go to my website. It's www.marcia4ri.com, or they can send me a check to Friends of Marcia Ranglin-Vassell, 32 Waite Street in Providence, Rhode Island, 02908. Or they can drop it off at my school that I teach, E-Cubed Academy. I don't have the date as yet actually I do have the date. It's on the 7th of December at 812 Branch Avenue in Providence.
So up to December 7th?
Up to December 7th.
Toys.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I welcome the toys. I thank you in advance for the educational toys that you will be given between the ages of, I'd say, 0 to 15.
Okay. Excellent. That is a very special initiative.
I just think it's just, kids just need, our kids are going through a lot of trauma, and I think the times that we can really help to eliminate or reduce that trauma and the stress, so they can just be kids again.
Yes.
Then I think that's a good thing.
That's a very good thing.
Yes.
Wow. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
So, I have just a few more questions for you. And I was wondering, as you responded to being a teacher and a mom and a representative, I'm just wondering, could you provide what your views are on the Providence educational system and what are the advantages for our youth?
I teach in the city, and
And challenges if you
absolutely. I think it's great to work in the city of Providence. I live, 5 minutes away from where I teach.
Excellent.
And so I am teaching many of the students who their families voted for me, right?
Right.
And so it's personal for me. Providence Public School we have wonderful teachers in the Providence Public Schools, and our children are so resilient. Our school system is very diverse, and so a lot of the children that come into our school system, they have, and their families have, all kinds of challenges. And I tell you, every single day, I look at my students and I look them in the eye, and I garner so much strength from them. The fact that they can go through so much and they can rise up and they can come to school ready to learn.
Yes.
It's a testament to the strength that they have and their family have. So I see our students are our greatest resources. What I think we need to do as a state, we need to make sure that we're investing in the infrastructure of our schools. We need to make sure that our schools are not mold-ridden, and we are trying as hard as we can to make sure that kids have a safe place to come to school,
Yes.
a warm place to come to school, a dry place to come to school.
And so we're asking government to invest in schools. We're asking government to do a robust investment in our schools. And I know in Providence, the city of Providence, the mayor just launched a $300 million bond. It's going to be bond to help to support the infrastructure for schools.
Excellent.
And I think once we're able to do these things, I can see the scores going up for our kids. I can see the outcomes going up for our kids. But let me tell you, I would not want to teach anywhere else but the city of Providence. Wonderful students, caring students.
Yes.
You know, I can't tell you how many times a student walked in to say, "Are you okay, miss?" You know? And so it's they're sharing, they're caring.
Yes.
And we are committed to investing in them.
Yes.
Because we
Understand that our children are our greatest resource.
Yes, they
And
are.
if government cannot take care of seniors, the poor, the indigent, who can we take care of? You know, so that's, but I love the city of Providence, and we're still growing, and but I think we're responding in a meaningful way to the needs of our students and to their families, I should say.
Yes.
We really want to make sure that we're addressing not just the child, but the family as well.
And you're not a charter school.
We're a public school. We're a public school. We're not a charter school.
How does I have to ask how charter schools kind of impact the public school system.
So this is my my feelings about charter schools when that conversation comes up. It puts me in a very weird position, right? Because it's saying that we should pick kids, right? Or we should choose between charter or public, and it puts people who just want to teach like me and care for children and educate children in a tough position. Everyone who knows me know that I am not a fan of charter schools.
Okay.
I'm just not. I'm just not, because I know, and most rational thinking people know, that most children are going to be educated in the public system.
Yes.
I also know that if we remove public dollars from public schools and put them into charter, then the meager resources that we have in public schools already are already diminished.
Yes.
You know, and the fact of the matter is we can't do that. What I would suggest and what I would advocate for is greater investments in public education.
Yes.
And you know, if we do that, then we wouldn't even be having the conversation
About
charter schools. You know, so it's no secret about how I feel about charter school. I love children. I think all children should be educated. But when we develop a parallel system of schools, you know, we're kind of picking one set of kids and one group of kids, and it actually it's not good.
It
I don't think.
fragments
Right.
the city educational
Yes.
structure and system.
Yes, and it's cherry picking as well.
Yes.
You know, so you know, there's no secret about how I feel about charter schools.
Okay.
I love the kids in charter schools now. You know,
bet
I
you
really
do.
do. I do, and I bet we have some wonderful teachers in charter schools as well. But we can't do that. You know, we have to invest in really, because most kids, as I said earlier on, is going to be educated in the
Yes.
public school setting. I was a product product of public education, and I value public education, and I think we should do a better investment in that.
Okay, thank you. What are your hopes for our youth?
My hope for the youth is the hope that my parents had for me, was that I would finish well. I would be alive, you know. I grew up around violence as well. I grew up around shootings. They were killing in my neighborhood as well. But I made it out. So my hope is that young people will make it out.
Yes.
And they would live a rich life, and they could be the president of this great country. My hope is that when they graduate from our high school, they would go into post-secondary education. They would go into the workforce equipped with the skills. They'd go into the military. They'd go into service education. My hope is that we will have a diversified workforce. My hope is that we won't have just one black woman in the State House. We would have lots of black women and lots of Latina women, lots of women and men or special education challenges.
Yes.
in terms of special education challenges.
Yes.
My hope is that we have gays, lesbian, and everybody in the State House, because this is how I really feel. I think when we have a diversity in ideas, a lot of times when we think of diversity, we think of race or gender. But diversity has a lot to do with ideas as well.
Yes.
And I think if we can make the tent larger as opposed to smaller, right? We build bridges as opposed to walls.
Right.
Then we're at our best. And so my hope is that for example, in the city of Providence, kids will not be worried that they're dying. You know, they don't have to go to bed listening to gunshots or waking up and experiencing that. My hope is that by 2022 we'd have a $15 living wage. My hope is that we can reduce out-of-school suspension. My hope is that we can love each other. We can take care of each other. And my hope is that we can live our best lives ever.
Excellent, excellent. And last but not least, because those hopes kind of roll into my last question for you, which would be, do you have a special message to the people of District 5 and the rest of the Rhode Island community?
Yes, I would say to my neighbors in District 5 that I appreciate you. I am so honored and so privileged to be your state rep. A year ago, or over a year ago, when you elected me because you wanted to have representation at the state level. You represented me because you knew, you voted for me and you elected me because you knew I would be a fighter. I hope I've lived up to those promises of fighting every single day for you and for your children and for all of us. You elected me because you wanted to have a voice, a clear voice in the State House. Thank you so much. I urge you to continue your support by volunteering with me, by calling me 401-339-6598. It gets lonely sometime. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you're thinking. And I just want to say, it's the holiday season. Let us continue to wrap our arms around each other. Let's remember people that are homebound and people that just need someone to say hello. God bless you. I'm here for you, and I thank you so much. Take care.
Excellent. Oh, Marcia, thank you so much. Thank you so much for finding the this time. You are precious. You know that, right?
Thank you.
You are precious. You are a most sincere human being.
Thank you.
I feel the love.
Thank you.
And I'm sure the rest of the community feels the love because you are so sincere.
Yes.
And may God give you the strength.
Thank you.
To keep that pace up.
Yes.
And I want you to know that there are a lot of folks out there who genuinely appreciate your being there.
Thank you.
We're sorry you're the only black female there, but...
Well, the nice thing about it, we have other women of color. We have Latina men and Latina women. But if we can count black women or Latina women, it tells me we don't have enough.
Yes.
Because we shouldn't be able to like count them like with one, with two hands or whatever.
That's right.
But I only want to serve. Mm-hmm. And it's in my DNA. It's what my parents did. It's what my dad did. And, without the State House or with the State House, I'm going to serve because that's the only thing that I do. So, I wanted to say to my neighbors as well, that's something that I crave. I crave your prayers. Because I really believe in the power of prayer. But I also believe in the power of hard work. And hard work is what I will do to make sure our communities are safer, to make sure families are not struggling and working up to 80 hours and still living in poverty. So neighbors, I am depending on you, relying on you, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for the belief that you have placed in me. And thank you, Karen.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, folks, there are many avenues for volunteering for the many causes that the representative has been initiating. And please stop by the State House if you need to check in and see how you can make a difference as well. So I thank you for watching Africa Teaching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
President is out for dividing Liberia, and we are calling on them to put a stop to it. They are undermining previous government. They are now undermining the very government that they are using. The war is over now. The war is over now. Oh, yeah, dance and celebrate. Oh, yeah, jump and jubilate. Oh, yeah, mama. Oh, yeah, papa. Oh, yeah, dance. Positive. Tell the world what the party is capable of doing. You now fall into the traps, into the provocation. The war I wear that